Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited to do my first, I think it's my first Facebook Live of the year. So throw me some hearts and definitely ask me questions, the questions that you have. And today, I just really want to address something because I think there's such a controversy out there, specifically around like looking good and really covering up, and how do I resist my insecurities? And I just really want to say, let's really talk about what are insecurities and how can you use them to your advantage. Wouldn't that be so much more fun than to have to resist them, make them wrong, cover them up, suppress them? I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, that creates like a tremendous amount of like pressure and also incongruence, right? So it's talking about sending mixed signals. I mean, if you're one of those women who attracts men into your life who are like responding to you incongruently, right? And who are like, who are in 1 minute and out the other, or hot one moment and cold the other, right? Like you're sending mixed signals on an unconscious level. What I see so many times, it's because you're actually covering up when you judge yourself as being insecure. And one thing that I always say, and you want to write that down, be secure in your insecurities, right? So it's not so much about your insecurities, it's about how do you relate to your insecurities. I think that's like a huge point. Hi, Lucy. Good to see you. That's a huge point to look at, right? And so that's such a aha moment, such a breakthrough, especially if you're more an anxious attachment style, and if you're living more in future anticipation land, and if you tend to fill in more of the blanks without even knowing, because you need to know right away, you can't be in uncertainty. This is going to be so helpful for you. Because look, when I started leaning into my insecurities, like a world opened up, I mean, really, whether I've spoken at Google, at Harvard, every time when I started to lead with my insecurity, and saying, look, this is my first corporate speaking gig, and I don't feel that comfortable right now. And I'm here, right? And I feel vulnerable right now, to really open up that space of intimacy and trust. And that is so attractive. So today I really want to talk about not only how can you overcome insecurities, because I get this all the time. I get this question all the time. How do I overcome my insecurities? But how can I still have intimacy by overcoming my insecurities, right? And not knowing that those are actually two of the same coins, if you will, right? It's just a different side of the coin, because the insecurity itself, when you relate to them in a powerful way and in a confident way, actually helps you more to be more intimate, to deepen more your deep connected relationships, your dating experiences that you have or that you desire to have into your life, right? So hi, Shelly. Hi, Angeles. So picture this, I mean, just imagine like somebody just throws something at you, like, like you're selfish, right? And so you have like maybe this whole insecurity around it because, your parents, your mom, your dad, taught you not to be selfish, or you were even judged, or maybe you even had a narcissistic parent where they were narcissistic and you were telling yourself, I'm never gonna be that selfish, right? And so in response to that, you're like completely like blocking that off, right? And yay, hi Deborah, hi Justina. Go ahead and send me some love, send me some likes, and ask questions that you have in the comment section. But yeah, so just to really think about that, right? Where you're coming from and what like, let's say in that sense, like selfishness would mean to you, right? And that's just an example, right? And so you could actually create an insecurity around it. And why is that an insecurity? Because you're vulnerable around it, right? Other people can control you by calling you selfish, right? So you're actually feel very insecure around it. And so the key is like to start relating to it in a more confident way and actually saying, yeah, absolutely, I'm selfish, right? I remember one time, hi Sandra. I remember one time I was dating a guy, like must have been 8-9 years ago. And, he told me that I'm too affectionate, right? And so I could have gone and been totally insecure, right? And be like, oh my gosh, I so apologize for that. And it's never going to happen again. Or I can just say, this is me, right? And those are my needs. And not even apologize for being quote unquote needy, right? So many of you who followed me over the years know that I'm such an advocate for leaning into your neediness versus like covering it up, versus suppressing it, versus making it wrong, right? But to actually say, this is who I am. And basically say, you take it or leave it, right? So, obviously you're not going to say that. But that's what that's your way of being. That's really your level of confidence. Hi, Carrie. That's your level of confidence, right? Is to be congruent and to know who you are. Because let me tell you, we all have insecurities. And what I've seen over and over again is the more we actually allow ourselves to show ourselves being vulnerable. So for me, it was like I'm speaking at Google and feeling uncomfortable for a speaking gig in a corporate environment, right? Or going on a date with a man who thinks I'm not too affectionate, I'm too affectionate, which is, by the way, isn't that like the fear of so many women? Being too much, being too nice, being too needy, being too demanding, being too much drama, right? And so that's like how like we can be controlled, right? Actually by men and by women. And then the other piece also is like, let's talk about drama for a moment, right? Because so many, there are definitely women out there, they're drama queens. And drama queens to me they have like no point to the conversation. Hi, Mariana. They have no point to the conversation, right? So they literally just use their hysterical, almost like yelling on the top of their lungs, just to simply manipulate a man, right? Versus a woman who authentically really expresses like, and is like really just expresses who she is, right? And that's how she authentically feels in that moment. And she also moves through it rather quickly than dwelling in it for a long time, right? Because she has that self-awareness. She's connected to her body. Hi, Jess. Hi, Robert. So she's connected to her body, right? And so I think that's like so much the question that you want to ask yourself, right? So what do you feel insecure about? If you don't know what that is, then ask yourself, well, what is something that I really don't want anybody to know, right? Or if somebody would really know me, they would know, fill in the blank, right? Because because otherwise, you're always, you think you're in control because you're controlling your image, so to say, right? But really someone outside of yourself is in control because they know what buttons to push and they know how you're going to be responding to it, right? So think about it. What is it for you? Is it being selfish? Is it being bitchy? Is it being, which means like you have an opinion, for example, right? What is it for you that just really triggers you, right? And by the way, when we're feeling triggered, it's really just coming from a place of insecurity. Like really we feel we're responding with anger and frustration and defense because we don't want to go to that deep place of vulnerability, right? And even allowing someone to have that much quote unquote control over us, right? So just like think about for yourself, like what that is. And then what happens is, of course, is, that very insecurity creates such an openness. It creates such a space of trust, of bonding, right? And of integrity, right? Because you are an integrity inside of yourself. So you create that space of integrity. I call it queen-tegrity, between you and your partner, between you and that man that you're dating. And man can really sense that, right? And, Buddy and I, we do our reviews every week on The Bachelor. And you see it so many times, the women who are really relating confidently to themselves and their needs, maybe even calling out the Bachelor on some things, right? But still staying that feminine and staying open, right? Hi, Mariana. Thanks for saying hello. Those are the ones that go really, really far, right? I mean, at the end, it's of course, about compatibility too. But just really, yeah, just ask yourself that. And what would happen? How would your life be like if you could use insecurity, right? The things that you never want to be found out about, you could use that to your advantage to actually, create intimacy faster. Because I know that's what you want. Like if you're a single woman and you're really looking, you want to have that deep connected intimacy. But it's so funny, right? And I remember like years ago, I was in a workshop and here's what so many women do. And I was doing that too. And I remember the workshop leader said like, Antia, here's what you're doing. And she grabbed this table and I was on stage, it was like, I was always like working on making myself vulnerable. And she grabbed this table and she walked up to a guy and she had this table in front of her and she's like, hi, I'm Antia. Would you like to have a relationship with me? And I knew what she meant because I was saying, but I want the intimacy from you, but I'm not willing to put myself out there and get myself emotionally naked and vulnerable and show my insecurities, right? So just really ask yourself, are you just as equally relating to your own insecurities in a way that you want the man? Because that's what creates that intimacy, right? A man to allow you in, and a man to show his vulnerabilities or even his weaknesses or his secret thoughts and dreams, right? To come into, manifestation. So I hope that helps you for today. Just really think about that for a moment and let me know in the comment section below, what questions do you have, or where do you need more distinctions and it's not quite clear to you? Because let me tell you, unless you can be really vulnerable and you can be really connected and confident with your own insecurities, your own shadows, you can name it whatever you want, right? You will not be able to experience that intimacy that you desire to have in your life, right? You will just not, and as a matter of fact, you might attract relationships into your life, but you won't have that feeling that you want to have, that deep connected where you have growth and you have love and connection and you have certainty and you also have fun and variety and expansion, but you also feel important to that person, right? You won't be able, and you also won't be able to allow a man in. You won't be able to allow a man into your life, into your world. Because let me tell you, you will have to get used to when you meet your man. When I met my husband, that was the most vulnerable for me, because it doesn't always have to be something that we don't want to express. It can be something really amazing, right? So when I met my husband, I had to get used to this goodness. I had to get used to a man who was cherishing me and who was feeding into my need of variety and adventure, and who made me feel important, and who I grew together with and felt like we were also meeting our needs for contribution and expansion, right? So it's also about like really preparing for that, because let me tell you, when you are ready, when you really know you can receive that, you can hold that, like this man comes in at lightning speed. I cannot even tell you how you can even count to 3, how fast this man comes in. When I did the work, my husband came in within 10 days. After I was like waiting for 10 years, right? But that's what is really, infinite patience causes immediate results, right? And what that means is like when you lean into the waiting, as if you could wait forever, right? Like time speeds up, right? So this is it from me today. So for those of you who feel like, gosh, I really need some support with that, I don't even know where to start. I need a step-by-step system, right? Insecurity is still pretty foreign to me because all I have is a negative connotation with it. I cannot even imagine having a positive connotation with it and actually getting almost like in a celebratory place with that. Then I invite you to come on a Magnetize the Man clarity call with me, where we get crystal clear on what are your specific blind spots, how are you talking to yourself in specific moments where you literally talk yourself out of being visible, being vulnerable, and showing who you really are. So for that, hop on over to magnetizetheman.com and grab your slot as long as they last. I will also put that in the comment section below. And other than that, ladies, I'm looking forward to reading your comments after you watch the video. I'm always happy to hear the feedbacks, the stories that you've had around insecurities. When did you share vulnerabilities and it actually paid off? And it was uncomfortable, but it actually furthered you. You know, it really got you into a new place and you really experienced a breakthrough in your life. And also share when it was challenging for you, you know, because I'm here to support you. All right, ladies, sending you much love and I'll talk to you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. Mwah!